People say that's not a superpower, that's just habit forming and discipline. Well, I wish I had those. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Just Another Struggling Writer, the beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. Well, today I've got a fun video for you guys. I'm going to be doing the author get to know me tag. I originally found this tag on Emma Bennett's channel, which I will link above and below if you want to check out her video. And thank you, as always, so much to Emma for curating these tags for us. And because I am a chronic multitasker, I will be painting my nails as we go. So question number one. Now, I am filming this video at my writing desk in my bedroom. I set up the space specifically to have a dedicated writing space and workspace. I've curated this whole kind of vibey aesthetic space. I have my mechanical keyboard here and my nice lamp. All of the things that you would think a writer needs to write. I have it all here. And yet, I do find that my favorite place to write is my recliner. I got this recliner last summer, I think it was. My grandma was moving into an assisted living center, and she was getting rid of a bunch of furniture. And one of the things that she was getting rid of was this little recliner. And I immediately jumped up and was like, yes, please, I'll take it. We don't have anything like this in our house. We had a sectional that we were looking to get rid of. And so we took this recliner and also a couch and love seat from her. And I kind of made it my spot. And I soon found that I really, really love it because it's got a good angle to the TV. It's not the best. It's not like directly in front of the TV, but it's right next to the back door, which means I can easily let my dogs in and out. And I've got a dog who loves to go in and out all day long. And so not having to actually get up out of the chair to open the door is a huge game changer. And then when you combine that with the heated blanket I have plugged in over there, easy distance to the fridge, the fact that I can turn on the TV like on some ambient music or some AuthorTube videos, and it's just a very, very cozy space that I spend a ton of time in. And on the days where I'm feeling low motivation and low effort, I have found it's easier for me to be like, okay, I will write today, but I'm gonna do it in the recliner instead of going to my desk. And that like helps break down the barrier a little bit, the resistance that I sometimes feel to coming in here and working. It's also possible that this chair is just not the most comfortable, because I do find that after sitting here in this chair for a couple of hours, I'm like, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. This week we are going with this purple color, purple with a purpose. Question 2. And if you're new to this channel, this may come as a surprise to you, but the answer for me to this question is neither. I am actually not a big fan of coffee or tea. In fact, I was thinking about it as I was preparing for this tag, and I think I'm just pretty sensitive to anything that's even remotely bitter. And I know you can add a bunch of things to like coffee and you can get a bunch of flavors of tea, but that just like that undercurrent of bitterness like that you find in coffee and tea, I'm just not a fan. So actually my author drink of choice is the diabetes in a can kinds of soda, specifically Dr. Pepper, or at least it was until I was actually diagnosed with diabetes recently. Now I'm trying to drink more and more water, but occasionally I will still reach for Dr. Pepper as a little treat. Given perfect health, that would still be what I reach for. Question 3. This one I don't even have to think about. It is Pride and Prejudice, not to be that basic bitch, but it is. I reread it like every 9 months or so. I don't even put it on my book trackers that I use to monitor what books I read every year, because I just know that I'm going to read it at least once, sometimes even twice in a calendar year. It's just a comfort read. It's just one of my favorite stories of all time, and no matter how many times I read it, I still get that kind of woozy feeling every time I get to the point where Elizabeth is reading Mr. Darcy's letter right at the midpoint where everything changes. I still get that, oh, this is my favorite part kind of thing. There's really no competition. To make things a little more interesting, I do have some modern favorites. Ella Enchanted was a huge formative book for me as a kid. I really, really loved Red Sister when I read it in 2018, I want to say. That's by Mark Lawrence. So if I had to pick top 3, those would probably be it. Question 4. So I have kind of a complicated answer for this. I was a participant of NaNoWriMo for many, many, many years. I was a teenager when I first discovered it, but my thought really was I respected it as the cornerstone of the writing community that it represented for so long. I loved the vibe of everyone kind of coming together in the month of November and just sitting down and writing and making it a creative time of year where it was even like bleeding into other spaces. Nano was just it was just foundational in the creative online space, and I have a lot of respect for getting to that point. When Nano ended up folding last year, I was sad. I was kind of disappointed that things had gotten to that point, not just because of what we were losing as a community, but because of how it all went down. And I'm not going to rehash any of the scandals that Nano went through towards the end, but I will link the video I made about my feelings on its closure that I made last year if you want to watch it. And the fact that to this day, people are still gathering in the month of November and doing their own version of the writing challenge, and the fact that different forms of the writing challenge have cropped up over the months tells me that there is still a place in the community for something like Nano, even if Nano, the organization, no longer serves that purpose. So in the sense that what Nano represents, what it started as and what it was and what it accomplished, yes, I do say yes to Nano. The amount of people that got off their couch and into the chair and started writing their novels because of NaNoWriMo, the amount of books that have been produced because of this challenge and because of the community and because of how fun it was for everyone to come together in that way, I think that in and of itself justified its existence back then and continues to justify the various kinds of challenges that exist now. But in terms of the organization itself, I think it was probably time. And in the months since, the way that the community has come together to fill the void left by Nano tells me that the organization itself was no longer necessary. So yes to the concept, no to the organization itself. Question 5. I already don't have restrictions. I can write whatever I want. What genre would I write in if I felt like I had the skill? Would definitely be sci-fi. I love sci-fi for the same reason I love fantasy, but to me, the science aspect of science fiction is intimidating to me. I don't feel like I could write it confidently because of the science. That is definitely a genre that I wish I had the chops to write. I do have a sci-fi novella that I do have planned later down the line, but it is kind of like science fantasy novella with magical tattoos. So it's supplanting the science with fantasy elements in that regard. But there is still science. It's definitely like a science fiction setting, but that's way later down the line, way down the list of 54 books that I'm supposed to be writing. I'll link that video as well if you want to check out my huge ass list of books I need to write before I'm dead. Question 6. All right, so I'm gonna do a normal superpower, like what you would think of superheroes having, and then I'm gonna do a writing superpower. So my traditional superpower, I would definitely take teleportation. I hate driving. I hate traveling. I hate the act of being in transit. It's the worst part of my day. Every time I have to commute, I wish I could just skip it entirely. So definitely the ability to transport or to teleport across long distances. None of the short range stuff. That doesn't do me any good. I definitely want to not need to drive anywhere else ever again. As for my writing related superpower, I wish I could be consistent. I would want legendary consistency in terms of being able to sit down every single day and have a consistent routine and output. And I know people say that's not a superpower, that's just habit forming and discipline. Well, I wish I had those. I wish I was able to do those, okay? To me, those are superpowers. I don't know if it's just because of my season in life. I've got 3 kids, 2 teenagers and a preteen, and they're in that phase where they just need a lot of mom to be taking them places and doing things. And I've also got a day job that I have unfortunately become irreplaceable at, which has its own set of responsibilities and needs. I was working just this morning on a Sunday, and I have other needs and desires, and I've got mental illness that I'm coping with, and just things that make it so that writing consistently has been unattainable for me. And so, yes, to me, that is a superpower that I yearn for. And maybe one day I will break through. I will get exposed to some sort of writing related uranium and it will unlock it for me. But in this moment, in this season of my life, it is not realistic. It is as realistic as teleportation. One hand is done. What do we think? I did kind of a crap job, which I always do when I do these videos where I'm painting them, but who cares? Question 7. I have a lot of modern favorites. I don't know that I have an old favorite or like a classic favorite from like when I was younger. I love Mark Lawrence. I love Robert Jackson Bennett. And I can't believe she wasn't the first name out of my mouth. T. Kingfisher. I will read anything that woman writes. And while she hasn't had many like big hits for me, like big 5 stars, everything is just consistently good. I can pick up any T. Kingfisher book off my shelf or out of the library or wherever and be confident that it's going to be a good time and that it will get me out of a reading slump and that I will be entertained and that I'll get like inspired in my own writing. And I think that's almost better than having a writer that maybe will write a book that you love so much that it like forms a cornerstone of your personality and then the next one is kind of crap or doesn't hit the same, or that your expectations are so high that you end up disappointing yourself. I don't feel that with T. Kingfisher. I feel, like I said, just totally confident anytime she comes out with a book that I'm going to read it and I'm going to at least like it and enjoy my time with it and not be sad that I spent time and money on reading it. So if I had to pick a top 3, those would definitely, I think, be it. Question 8. I am the kind of writer, and I've heard other people say this, so I don't feel quite as weird, but I can't listen to any music with lyrics. It's especially hard for me because I have audio processing issues, and so it takes just more brain power for me to understand words when they are spoken aloud to me. So when I have music with like lyrics on, my brain is automatically devoting extra resources to parsing what it is hearing. And that ends up just being a big waste of brain power and it becomes a distraction. So nothing with words. And truly, when I'm looking for instrumental or ambient music to listen to, I try to match the vibe of what I'm writing. So right now, my current project, Seekers of Empyrean, which is a modern world urban fantasy about a young woman with a rare magical ability who is recruited by a secret government agency to hunt down a dangerous fugitive in exchange for help solving her mother's mysterious disappearance. I do try to find things that's just has a little bit grungier feeling. I've been listening to a lot of like instrumental hip hop because turning on like classic Celtic or cello by the sea or something with like a high fantasy vibe, it doesn't work. I need something that kind of fits. So what I like to do is go on YouTube and find like a live channel. The hardest thing about that though is finding a channel that is not AI in any way. And right now specifically while I'm working on Seekers, like hip hop, blues, not really a lot of rock, but so anything that just feels just more modern and urban. Question 9. So I have been back and forth on this almost my entire life. And I think I have settled on a walkable city. I don't really have a preference as to where as long as it's affordable, which, let's be real. But assuming that finances are not an object in this scenario, definitely some sort of walkable city. Does not necessarily have to be in the United States. In fact, who knows, that may be preferable. The kind of place where I can leave where I'm living, a flat, condo, apartment, wherever, and run down to the corner store and pick up groceries. if I needed them. I thought for a while that I wanted to live in the mountains and be a little bit more isolated, but a couple years ago, actually it was a while ago now, almost 10 years ago, my whole family went out to the mountains to celebrate my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. And the only grocery store, or the only like retail store in the town, was a Dollar General, and the Walmart was an hour away. And I was like, as someone who doesn't like to travel, remember, or be in transit, that does not work for me. I think I would like the modern conveniences of a city, particularly a walkable city where I don't need to be in my car ever, if possible, but as little as possible for sure. I think that's kind of where I fall. I currently live in Texas, in the South, where it's hot, and I know my partner would prefer going somewhere where it's colder whenever the kids are empty nested. And that's probably where I lean as well, going somewhere north where it's a little bit cooler, even though I hate the cold. That being said, I have also, like, whenever anyone talks about like, oh, if you could pick a like foreign country to move to, what would it be? I kind of lean towards Australia. And I think that's because I would have the least amount of culture shock and difference there. You know, obviously there's not much of a language to learn, dialects aside. There's just a lot of similarities, I feel like, that would make it easier for me to adapt. So a walkable city of some kind, preferably somewhere cold, but if I had to go out of the country, I would go somewhere in Australia. Question 10. Again, I'm going to split this into two halves because I get two kinds of writer's block. I get mental health related writer's block, where like literally my ability to be creative is being depressed by my brain chemistry. And then just the kind of writer's block where I feel stuck, like I have recognized something is wrong and I don't know how to move past it or correct it. So in the first situation, as we all know by now, judging off the fact that I just came off a 4-month mental health hiatus, I just waited out. I really don't have much of a choice in that situation. I have tried a couple of times in the past to force my way through it, and it ends up just making me more depressed because like I feel bad, and then I'm pushing myself so hard for such little gain and little output that I feel even worse, and then it just becomes exhausting. And so I know that when my mental health cycles and I'm on a downswing again, there's really not much to do except wait for my brain chemistry to level out again, and I can feel joy and motivation and love of my craft again, because those things truly vanish when I'm in those low periods, especially with respect to creativity. As for when I feel stuck, like something is wrong and I can't move past it, the most helpful thing for me is to lay in bed and pretend I'm going to sleep, because I am one of those people where my creative synapses start firing right before I fall asleep. And I have insomnia, so I have been in the habit for many, 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 many years of telling myself a story before I go to sleep, and that helps me kind of disengage from the like anxiety brain that keeps me awake at night. And so when I have a creative problem, the story I tell myself is the story of the scene or whatever the issue is, and then I start going through scenarios of, well, look, how do I fix this? And then, like I said, usually in that like kind of twilight space between awake and sleep is when I get my ideas. The issue is like remembering them when I wake up, or like grabbing my phone really quick and writing it down. I do have a file in my notes app that is just like sentences I've come up with, or, you know, ways to move out of current dilemmas that I just grab and I open quickly and just type a few sentences just to get me out of it the next day. But again, like I don't have to necessarily sleep. If I just like lay down and take a nap, I can achieve the same effect. Like sometimes I'll just trick myself and be like, oh, I'm gonna go take a nap now, and I'll turn on my ambient music and I'll lay down, I'll get my little heating pad and I'll lay down and I'll just start mulling over my creative issue. And again, it really helps. But like, I can't do that just sitting at my desk staring at the wall. I'll get too distracted. I need to shut off stimulus and go to sleep. You know, I need to tell myself that I'm going to sleep and do that whole thing where I'm telling myself the story, or for some reason it just doesn't work. That is my little trick. Highly recommend if you are someone who has insomnia and takes a long time to fall asleep anyway, both as a way to help yourself fall asleep and to help solve your creative pickles that you may be in. And that's it. Those are all the questions. I hope you feel like you know me a little bit better, especially since I have been off YouTube for so long. This could be your reintroduction to my brain, which, let's be real, no one really asked for, but you're getting anyway. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support this channel, please like and subscribe, or consider leaving a comment down below. In my next video, I have an actual writing vlog for you. What a concept. And this time I do actual writing in it. I know. It's truly groundbreaking behavior. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then.